As you can see, now it's much better. Hi, today let's make a stunning animation using DOTween and UniTask. In this tutorial, I have even assets from nature environment, tropical island life, and the parakeets from Kenneth. I also use DOTween and UniTask. If you guys don't know how to set up UniTask or use this with DOTween, check out my video. First, let's create the entry point script. We're going to create the script and let's call it animate scene. We're going to create a new game object. We call it scene. You can call it whatever that you like. I will add the component to the game object. First, let's animate the outer side of the scenes we're gonna create. And transform array, and I will call it outer object transform. In Ether, first we're gonna lock this component to add the game object to the array with no issues. Now we're gonna select all kind of the object that we want to transform. We're gonna put it here and we're gonna unlock the inspector. Now let's go back to our script. We're gonna create a new UniTask function and I'm gonna call it animate outer object. For parameter, I will ask the array. I will call it object to animate and the cancellation token. Remember, you always want to have your cancellation token on your task. We're gonna loop to the array of objects that we want to animate. And then we're gonna scale this object using DOTween. I'm gonna pass the vector 3 to 0 and I'm gonna pass the duration, which is 0.5, and I'm gonna use from extension method, which instead of tweening to that value, it will start from the given value, then tweening from the original one. And I'm going to set is, which have been the case of in our back. If you guys just want to know how each type is methods work, just check it out the Async.net website. It's gonna have the full details for you. In here, I want to have an is in out back to have the bouncing effect, which I think is kind of amazing. Now, let's start. We're gonna add the async keyword here, and I'm going to use await, animate, outer object. I'm gonna pass the outer object that transform, and then for the cancellation token, I will add the gets cancellation token on destroy. Now let's take a look at the editor. I'll click play. As you can see, it's going to start from the vectors 3.0 value, which is 0, 0, 0, and it's going to scale to the original value that we have. But as you can see, it's a little bit more scattered at the beginning. The reason is that it had the original scale and you jump back to 0 and you popping up. To fix the results, just disable all these objects by setting the active to false, and then we're gonna active it when we're tweening. I'm gonna disable all the scheme object, and in here I'm gonna use game object dot selected true. Oh, and here just remember to pass the cancellation token. So you can see that is popping up like an amazing entrance effect. Now I will delay at the initial point 0.5 seconds for you to have a better look at this. I will await UniTask.delay, and I'm gonna pass the time span from seconds, and I'm gonna pass like 1.2 seconds with the cancellation tokens as the cancellation token. Let's run. You can see it's already popped up quite nicely. However, as you can see in here, all the objects that were animated is all popping up in the same time. I want this kind of objects to popping up in some kind of sequence, which is kind of cool. Let's try this. So in this follow, I'm gonna wait for 0.1 seconds. Then I'm gonna pass the cancellation token, add the cancellation token. So the logic behind here is that after each object getting scale, it's gonna delay a little bit, and then after the delay, the next object will be scaled, and it will create some kind of motion animations which is gonna make your game more responsive. Let's take a look. As you can see, it's pop up, and then all the game objects has been initiated and scaled. Before we continue, let's make sure you smash the like button and hit the subscribe button. By doing so, you'll help the channel grow and make sure that knowledge is go to everyone. Thank you. But you can see that our solution is not yet perfect. The tower, right there in these positions, have been spawned quite slow, and then all the other objects have been popping up. I will show you again. As you can see, there is a scatter after this objects has been popping up. To fix such issues, we're gonna use UniTask as when all. Let's refactor it. We're gonna select these three kind of code and gonna use refactor, and I'm gonna use the extract method, and I'm gonna call it animate delay. Let it snap. And instead of returning a task, I'm going to return an UniTask. I'm also gonna pass the time instead of the integer. I also gonna pass a single object only. So instead of passing objects to animate, I'm gonna pass a single one. and I'm gonna move the delay methods on top of that. So we will delay first, and then we're gonna tweening the object. And instead of tweening from, instead of waiting for 0.1 seconds, I'm gonna pass a time right here. In this animate outer objects, first I'm gonna create an UniTask array. Let's go with task equal new UniTask, and I'm gonna pass the length which equal to the object to animate arrays. I'm still gonna loop through the object to animate array, but instead of awaiting the methods to be finished, I'm gonna add this to the list. Equal animate delay, and I'm gonna pass the object to animate. Alright, the cancellation token. The times is gonna be I multiplied by 0.1. So each object is gonna be pop up after the previous 0.1 seconds. Then I'm gonna await UniTask when O, and I'm gonna pass the start array. There you go. If you guys want to learn more about how to use UniTask menu when working with DOTween, please check out my video. The links will be down in the descriptions. Now, let's run it in the editor. As you can see, we already fixed the issues as we mentioned. All the objects in here have been spawned simultaneously in sequence. Now, after we finish animating the outer game objects, let's get started with the inner one. I'm gonna create another array. Let's call it inner object transform. And then I'm gonna create another Async methods which gonna return UniTask. Let's call it animate inner object. I'm gonna pass the object to animate transform array. And then, most important, the cancellation token. I'm gonna loop through this array. Then I'm gonna scale all these objects using DOTween. There you go. I will set await animate inner object. Pass the inner object on transform, and the cancellation token on destroy. In this time, I will just refactor by extracting this cancellation token as a variable. Replace two occurrences here. There you go. As you can see, it's quite nicely now. In the editor, same as the outer objects, first we're gonna load the inspector, then we're gonna assign all the game object to this array, and we're gonna disable it so that we can have the popping up effect quite nice. Now let's run. Oh, I forget to activate those objects. So let's change back in my code. In here, I'm gonna set active this object. And I'm gonna pass the object to animate here. Kind of forget about it. Now let's play. As you can see, we have an amazing effect here. But if you check in the console tab, you can see that the box collider does not support negative scale or size. Warning in here. So what is the reason? The reason for that is our is function. In here, we use the is dot in out back, which as you can see on the diagram, is first it's gonna scale down below 0 and then it's gonna pop up and then down. So because it's went down below 0, the box collider has the values of negative, so it will display the warning for us. To make the warning on, let's use another is function. Let's use is out back. In here, I will use is out back. Let's display. We can see that the animations have been displayed, but no warning have been shown there. Another thing that we need to be improved, as you can see that the tense right here is actually emerged quite early, because we want all the outer objects to be popping up, then the inner objects start to emerge. So the fact that it's emerged sooner than we expected is not what we want. I will show you again. As you can see, all the tents right here are popping up before the wooden bridge. The reasons for that is in our animate delay method. We scale the objects using DOTween, but we haven't await for it to be finished before we're running this line of code. One way to fix this is we're gonna add the boolean parameters called last object, and then we're gonna check if this is the last object. We're gonna await for it. And if it's not, we're gonna execute it normally. Then in here, I'm gonna pass I equal object dot animate dot length -1 to make sure it is the last object or not. If you guys have another approach to these issues, please comment down below. Now, let's take a look at the editor. When we replay, we will see that after all the outer objects on the scene has been emerged, the inner tents inside here start popping up, and that's exactly what we want. Now, what we will do is we're gonna initialize that ship over there and then move the ship from the original position. To do that, first, let's get the shape object. Call it transform, and I'm gonna call it shape transform. Then we also gonna need the start position. Then another thing is we're gonna store the ship's current position, and then after it's popping up, we're gonna move the position to the current position that we already saved. I will call it vector3 current ship position. I'm gonna create another UniTask Async method. I will call it animate ship. We will transform to this ship, and of course the cancellation token. First, let's set the shape object to be true. Oh, sorry. First, let's set the current shape position to the ship position. Then we're gonna move the position of the ship to the start point position. Then, after that, we will activate the ship. Now, we will use DOTween to scale. And I'm going to pass all the code right here. There you go. And I'm going to await that. And let's set the is to in out back. After the ship has been scaled or popping up, I will move the ship to the starting point position. I will pass the current ship position with duration is 0.4. I think that's okay. And I'm gonna copy all the current part here, and I think that's good to go. We will use await animate ship, and I'm gonna pass the ship transform, and the cancellation token will destroy. Let's see in the editor. I'm gonna pass the ship here and the start position. I'm gonna disable the ship, and let's play. You can see that after all the outer scenes has been initialized, and then the inner scene, the ship has been immersed and is moved back to the original position. But as you can see, it's moved quite fast. Now, let's slow down a little bit. I'm gonna change it from 0.7. Let's see. As you can see, now it's much better. All the outer scenes and the inner scenes have been scaled as we expected, and then the ship gonna emerge from the sea and move to that position. Another cool thing about a Asynchronous approach to this kind of animation I want to show you is you can actually inject code between those animation, and you're gonna do that in a clean way. Let's take a look. I will pass a new white text for demonstration only. Let's go with text. And then I'm going to create a function called setText. I'm giving value as a parameter. The text going to be equal to stated plus value. Now, after we animate the outer objects, we're gonna set the text to init should sync outer object. Similarly, we will set the text to be inner object and move shape. Let's save it and go to Unity. I will pass my UI text to the reference. Let's save it and run. All objects have been scaled. And you can see the status has shown us the status of the animation what we're doing in this tween. You will see that the text is moving quite fast. So let's add some delay code between it to make sure that we see it better. Gonna await UniTask delay. I'm gonna pass like 0.4 seconds. Sorry, time span 5 seconds, and I'm gonna pass 0.4 seconds. The same with the inner object. Now let's see. We're gonna hit play. After done, yeah, that's amazing. You will see that with a similar weight approach, and I'm going to do this with UniTask. It is quite simple and elegant for you to write those code, and without any callback methods or chaining any coroutine to each other. Just plain text, simple like that. That is the end of my video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.